Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor, someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. I hope you enjoyed our epic chat last week with Eric friggin' Roberts, man, as we're wife Eliza. We talked a lot about, obviously, this film, some behind-the-scenes stories. So if you didn't listen to that yet, I'll sprinkle them in throughout. But before we get started into this kick-ass movie, following up a bad boxing sequel, I guess, Teen Wolf 2, this was such a great way to start. But before we dive in, I would introduce you to my partner in this sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Doug. And this is definitely one of my, I would say, the best day of the week because it's podcast day.
It is. Yes, it is the best of the best.
Best of the best.
So this is the first time you ever dipped your toes into these movies, right?
My toes, my fist, my whole body. I've heard of these movies. I knew all about them. I just never had the opportunity to see them. And
I'm so glad that I was able to push you off the edge of the pool into this because,
yeah, this was a ride. This movie kind of. I thought at first I thought I was watching a Van Damme movie or even a Rocky movie. There's a lot of similarities to Lionheart, Bloodsport, and Rocky IV.
That's why I love these. I love these movies. But before we even start kicking ass, we have to introduce back our guest that you remember him from Death Wish 3. He was Charles Bronson.
He was.
He's back this week, and he's ready to kick some ass. Andrew Powers. Andrew. I love that. Oh, dude, he kicked all their asses.
I didn't know he was a master.
He is. He's our first expert that we were able to have on.
Wow. Woo. That was exhausting, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Doug. How you doing?
We're doing good, man. We are
How you doing?
Excited to have you back.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm doing wonderful. What a workout.
I tell you, if they had you in this movie, the movie would be a lot shorter.
I would have taken brackets out in the first. It would have just been a nut punch and then an uppercut. It would have been over.
So where do we start?
Well, I mean, this movie was 1993.
Yep.
Okay, so how far was this movie from the first movie?
4 years, 89. Yeah.
Okay, and the first movie, and I just watched kind of the end. It was a tournament. Is that what it was?
The end of the first movie is like one of the coolest endings. I love that.
And that was his brother, the guy with the eye patch.
That was Tommy's brother.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Ahan, I think, right?
So how long does this take place after the first movie in movie years?
They don't really say anything about it. All we know is that they started their own school because they mentioned that sort of in the beginning. But now there's not really like, hey, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Okay, so you don't. So was Sean Penn's brother, Chris Penn, was he the same kind of character in the first movie?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Pretty much.
He reminded me of Jackson from Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Out of shape fighter who just somehow kicks some ass, or thinks he's better than he is.
Just to add to what you said before, I don't know. I guess it was the Olympics, right, Andrew? Or was it just another type of competition that they won?
The first one?
Yeah.
There was the national karate. Well, it was the national karate team. What did they actually win?
So what do you think? They win they do that every 2 years. So they're still the reigning. Yeah. They call them at so whatever the time frame from the first one, they're still the reigning champions because Wayne Newton,
he looks bigger than half the fighters.
Dude, he was amazing.
But look how big he is. Look at a picture. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize he was a big man like that.
Just don't look up pictures of him nowadays because he just looks like he looks like a Halloween mask.
Well, he kind of looks like a Halloween mask too. There, I mean,
yeah, a little bit. But
what a pick though for the evil underground fighting promoter Wayne Newton. I guess he was already in Vegas, so I mean they would probably just call them up and like, hey Wayne, you want to be this bad dude?
He played a bad guy in another movie, Ford Fairlane.
Oh
with
yeah, so
Andrew
that
Dice
was
Clay.
88. I think,
Right.
fourth
So,
movie.
I mean, he already touched some kind of badness. So I think they, use that.
So he's a stereotype now. He's typecasted into that role. Oh man.
So none of you guys got, because the interview didn't come out yet. Obviously, for people listening, watching, the interview came out last week. But so Eric Roberts said they were casting for that part, and he just said it off the top of his head. How about Wayne Newton? He called up Wayne Newton, so he is the reason that Wayne Newton is in this movie.
So we can thank Eric Roberts for that.
Dude, we can thank Eric Roberts. I'm saying it right now. I know, Jamie, you're probably can't believe this, but my new favorite bad guy that we've discovered, he is above Terry Silver we'll get into his lines that he says throughout this movie.
He does have one of my favorite lines. It might be better than Your Ass Stinks. He does have a line that I was laughing at.
Are you talking about when he says, and you know the rule?
No.
Right? Or no?
The last thing through your mind. The last thing that goes through your mind would be your ass.
Oh, yeah, that one's good. But when he asks the crowd, when he says, what's the one rule? And they go, no rules. And he's like, you love it. Yeah. And he does this thing. It's like, it's a new favorite clip of YouTube. I'll be sending that around to everyone because it's so amazing. But yeah, so let's jump right into it. Like this movie, it gets right into it. And it goes right into a quick credit, man. I want something. I want some kind of substance, but they show Eric Roberts and boom, credits roll for a long time.
A nice 80s, music.
It sounded like Law and Order, and they use that
totally.
same song throughout the whole movie.
Yeah. Except for the techno music at the club. There was techno music at the club.
There was. And no, you know what? I just remembered just by looking this down. So the first thing we see a newspaper that says U.S. champs open a karate studio. So again, it doesn't say how long afterwards, but we know they're in Vegas already because it's the Las Vegas Gazette. And then we cut right into what the whole movie is. And I know you saw clips of it. Andrew, you watched the whole first movie, right?
No. So the way I did this one, I did the second one first, and then I watched the first one.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so just like Death Wish, the same thing. I wanted to watch it untarnished, just get a full view of the movie in all its glory. Now, the only problem, though, was I did watch this on YouTube in Tamil. So I actually had to take a course, or a Rosetta Stone course in Tamil, and then I watched the movie. So it took me about 5 weeks to get it done. But, dedication.
Listen, no one says that you're not
watching that.
You're very dedicated to this podcast. I have to admit. I mean, if there's a dedication award, you're definitely winning it.
Yeah, you definitely won it. But no, it's funny. I started that too, that video, and I watched the whole intro. There was no words, and then the words started. I'm like, oh, I guess I can't watch this version. But we get right into what it is, and that's what I wanted to talk about. Was obviously we talked about the sequel that we're covering, but from the first movie to the second movie, I think UFC was kind of still really new. I think it was on pay-per-view maybe a few times a year. So this I love the whole story of this movie, the underground fighting within at the place is called the Stock Exchange in Vegas.
Yeah, but don't forget they did this in '88 with Lionheart with Van Damme.
Oh yeah, no, I know that. Good idea. I just from the first movie being about competition with James Earl Jones as a karate coach. Sequel follow-up is Wayne Newton is running an underground fighting ring with this guy that is gargantuan Brackus.
He's a monster. He was I think Mr. Olympia, the same thing that Arnold won. Obviously different times, but he was also a champ. I mean, the guy's a monster.
Wide. There's a scene at the end of the movie when they show him turn fighting Tommy, and you see how wide his shoulders are. It is something scary. I would shit my pants.
That's why, when you see Chris Penn in there, and again, he looks like a meatball. He really he totally meatball. Even his warming up is just so lame. He really thinks he could take this guy out.
You know what the funny thing is? The first fight though, where he won against that I forget what the name of the guy was, but I didn't realize that was him. And then after that fight, he's in the dressing room and stuff, and I'm like, wait, that can't be the same guy, because the first dude looked awesome. He looked like he was kicking ass, and they didn't get to show me Chris. I'm like, wait, no, that can't be. That can't be.
I love the crowd was like calling him fatso and like fatty.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
He fought in the first movie too.
Yeah, he was on the team. He was part of the U.S. What do you mean?
But was he like an alternate though? Or was he like, like was he like at the end of the tournament, like, all right, here are the two guys that don't really fight much, let's throw them out there, the JV squad?
He was not the main guy. I think he lost, and then it came down to Eric Roberts and Tommy. Alex and Tommy were like, comes down to us.
Okay.
And then he says, I'm going to kick your ass. I love that at the end. Just, he's like bowing to him. And while he's bowing to him, he says it to Tommy's cousin or his brother. But Jamie, how do we go from Teen Wolf 2 boxing movie, and then we go to this movie that has this guy, the guy that I know you sent me a couple of things that he was in.
Oh, yeah.
But the newest thing I remember him, he's in Beer Fest. He's one of the German brothers.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, he's one of the guys that kills the one like messenger guy by shoving like beer things up his nose, and they pump a keg through his body.
He's in tons of movies. Like, again, he's kind of like, like the Vernon Wells, the Patrick Kilpatrick, these guys, like, you don't realize how many movies they're in, and then and they leave a mark every movie. Like, So, ridiculous.
And we see Patrick right in the beginning too, because he's like, "Good evening, Mr. Brackus."
Finch, right? Is it Finch? Yeah. Even the guy from Predator, the Indian guy, American Indian.
Oh yeah.
He's in tons of movies. Like, it's just funny seeing these movies, and you see all these guys. They were always in so many movies, and you never realized it.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's one of those things. Like once you see them once,
yeah,
and you look at their IMDb, you're like, this guy's in everything.
Dude, Kane Hodder. Doorman.
Oh my god, dude, that was so awesome. Did you notice that, Andrew? The guy who plays Jason is in this movie. He plays the backdoor man.
Does it really?
He's the guy that doesn't let them in.
Oh, yeah.
He gets his finger blown off, right? Is that the guy that gets his finger blown off?
Well, no, that's James.
That's James. That's the.
Well, not James. He got stabbed. He got stabbed in the hand.
Through the hand by Eric Roberts.
Okay.
But then in the first movie, he gets his ass kicked too. He's just like a rando guy at a bar. Maybe same storyline. He was at that bar. He got kicked in the face. Then he applied for this job. And he's like, "You again?" That'd have been really funny if they would have done that line, like, "Hey, you again, man? I don't want no trouble." And then he just penned through the hand. God, I love that. But no, Patrick Kilpatrick, man, great seeing him in this movie. He has some really, oh my God, such an amazing line.
He does, but I was very disappointed in his finale.
I can't wait to ask him about that.
Okay, you have to, because he has to be mad about that. I would imagine
sure.
He's got to be mad about that.
Cut out some kind of fight or something. But
yeah.
So in Teen Wolf 2, there was an announcer of the final fight that was horrible. I love that we go from the girl boy or boy girl, whatever that was, to Wayne Newton, dude. He was so good getting.
He's a great announcer. He's a great bad guy. Like, you don't think so, but I mean, like, he really. I honestly, I thought he was going to be in there just for the beginning, just for like the beginning part. I didn't realize he's going to have such a major part like that, and he was awesome.
You got lucky. You were like, oh man, he's only going to be, and he's in there the whole movie. Like Michael Buffer, like Andrew, huge wrestling fan. If there was no Michael Buffer, I would honestly, Wayne Newton would have done that. Like,
in a heartbeat. He just there wouldn't have been this movie if there was no Wayne Newton. And I was in the boat with Jamie too. I really thought, like, okay, here's a cameo by Wayne Newton.
Yep.
Well, that's about it. But no, the son of a bitch stays down through the whole movie, and then he turns out to be a bad dude. I was, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable, Wayne Newton.
I love when he does the whole exposition for the whole movie, talking about, like, here are the rules. You got to fight a stable of our toughest fighters. They would beat up their own mothers.
And what is wrong with these people that are watching this? Like, they all want death. Oh, they're all looking for death.
All like really old white guys with younger wives.
That's the women seem more into it than the guys.
They were, they were very evil, and they turned pretty quick. They turned on a dime at the end pretty quick. But so again, was Lionheart anything like this? Because this reminds me more of the way you have to beat those guys to get to the. It's kind of like Running Man. He beat all those trash guys in order to face,
Well, it's like Bloodsport. Same, Lionheart in a way where Lionheart, he fought all these like weird kind of guys in different kind of arenas, but all the rich were paying money for it, that kind of thing. So it has that aspect, but it has the Bloodsport where you have all these weird characters that you have to fight to get through to Chong Li. So yeah, no. It was like I said, and even Rocky IV, the training and the guy kind of was like a Dolph Lundgren, just it was like it was a mix of Lionheart. I said Lionheart, Rocky IV, and Bloodsport. I
love that, the cutting back and forth in this movie. I like that they split the storyline sort of towards the end. So you saw one guy, Tommy, doing something, and then Alex doing something.
I tell you, Eric Roberts is without a shirt a lot in this movie.
Good.
All right, I'm just saying. He's definitely more jacked than I expected him to be. I didn't think he's like, I didn't know. He's not really, I didn't know him too much as an action. And the guy's ripped.
Yeah, and he kicks a lot of ass. Like towards the beginning, it's like he's a dad. He's more dad first, talking to his son. And, dude, we'll get into that in one second. But let's talk about Chris Penn a little bit more as Travis. So you got to think this movie came out in 93, the first one, 89. Footloose 85, 86. So he goes through this. He goes from looking like an actor that can't dance to a good dancer in that movie to looking like a guy that can't fight and is somehow on the national karate team because that is like his thing. They're like, hey, we need a guy that looks like he wouldn't be good at something, but we're going to make him good at something.
He looked like he was in better shape in Footloose.
Oh, of course. He was a lot skinnier in Footloose. And that's not saying a lot.
And he never really explained what he was actually doing. I didn't quite understand why he was doing it, for pride or for money. Like
he wanted to own the Coliseum. He said, I'm going to own because the winner gets the Coliseum,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
No, but I think it was pride because when he has Walter, which who names their kid Walter? It's like an old man.
It is an old man name.
Baby comes out like Benjamin Button, then name him Walter. But no, that whole part, he tells Walter later in the movie, he's like, hey, my dad will kick my ass. Your dad will kick my ass if he knows I'm doing this. But yeah, I think it was for owning the Coliseum. And how cocky he was when he knocks down the guy, he says, sorry, Sinbad, there's a new boy in town.
He was
for the boys.
He was Jackson from Bloodsport. Yeah. Same thing. He wanted Chong Li right away.
Now, we have kids. How bad do you feel for Walter when he doesn't break the brick? Dude, I really was heartbroken. And then when he said, Tommy stands up and he's like, you have to break this. And he tries again. And I'm like, oh, dude, my heart sank. I felt so bad for him.
Well, even when at dinner, before Eric Roberts goes to the second part of his speech, he's like, I really wanted you to break that brick. And like the kid's jaw dropped, horrible, especially since your father's such a badass and he's looked like he's the one running the show there. And then you're the only one that couldn't do it. What a failure.
Yeah. And to the fact again that, he wanted him to do it and he said that heartfelt thing. But then the fact that he had to hang out with all the other guys that did it. It's like going to a graduation and you didn't graduate.
Well, he didn't graduate, so yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He did turn into a good dad moment, and not seeing Alex from the first one. That speech was pretty good. Good dad moment, Alex.
Who's Alex?
Eric Roberts.
That's it.
Come on. But there was a little montage too. That was the first time that we got the music again of the Law and Order music when they showed the kids fighting. I'm like, we're getting a kid fighting montage in this? Yeah.
Well, they look like the Three Ninjas.
It did. It did kind of look like it was the Three Ninjas.
Did that movie come around the same time?
Yeah, probably. The first one probably came right around this. They probably saw that and got inspired. They're like, dude, if Eric Roberts is in a movie where kids are getting their ass kicked, let's do it. But no, that was such a heartbreaking scene. I felt so bad for him when he couldn't break it. I really thought he was going to break it. When they said you have to do it, I'm like, oh, positive.
Well, when he paused that one time, he tried so many times, and his father goes, "You have to do this." I agree with you. I thought he was going to finally do it, but no. Listen, they had to show that Eric Roberts had a tender heart. He wasn't just a badass.
Yeah,
and you know what? Listen, he was a good father in this movie.
Oh yeah, dude.
So
it was great.
Yeah.
He cared a lot about his son. He really didn't want his son, to be. The kid was like, "I'm 11. I called the babysitter and canceled." And he's like, "Oh, looks like I can't go out now." And the kid's like, "I can watch myself, man."
Now, my kids are older now, but does 11-year-old need a babysitter?
Legally?
I think legally, yeah.
I guess if you live in Vegas, you need a babysitter, I guess.
Yeah.
When you have people like Wayne Newton crawling around. No, but 11, I used to watch myself even younger.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like, I don't remember having a babysitter for my kids that old, but I mean, I guess Vegas is a different story, especially when you have people like that creepy guy that was asking him if he needs a ride when he was running.
Was that?
Yeah.
That was just so out of the blue.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to kick him. I really thought like something. I'm like, what's the purpose of that? Maybe they show him like how he shouldn't be alone. Maybe that was like a little thing by the people that wrote this movie. They're like, dude, kids, got to listen to your parents. So let's just scare the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But he's one step away from being a black belt, though. That's what I understand. Like, this kid can clearly kick ass if he's that close to being a black belt. And then he's running around like a pussy for most of the movie until later when
he lost his self-esteem when he couldn't break the brick.
That broke.
Well, he kind of still had it.
It broke him.
That was his reasoning for his dad. He goes, listen to this. Let's say a bad guy breaks in. What do you think the babysitter's going to do? I'll be able to kick the guy's ass. And he's like, no. I love when Tommy showed up and the two kids were playing basketball. That was pretty dope because I don't know how many takes it took, but he stole the ball from the kids and then hit a sick fadeaway. I'm like, what are the chances? Unbelievable. Oh, and he says, if I make it, you wash my car. If I miss it, you wash my car. Oh, dude, that's awesome. So Chris Penn saves the day because what is he supposed to do? Just come over to see him?
Go bowling. No, they were going to go bowling. So after he canceled the babysitter, he was going to go bowling with Chris Penn. First of all, this is when Eric Roberts was cooking. Is that where he?
Oh,
right?
With the sauce? With the gravy?
With his apron on.
Yeah. So before we get to the Chris Penn. Now, my wife cooks a lot. I'll cook. You cook. Does anyone put an apron on before you cook? Or I should say before you stir the pot? Because
where do you even buy an apron nowadays? I have literally no idea.
Grandmas wear an apron. Like, I don't know, I don't think, I've never seen really guys wear an apron or even wives. Like, my wife doesn't wear an apron. Unless you're in the kitchen all day long, maybe. Not to walk in there, put the apron on, and then walk out.
Or maybe that's a shirt he's going on the hot date in, and he doesn't want to get any sauce on it.
By the way, you know where his girlfriend's from? What movie?
No.
They Live.
Oh, okay.
She's the girl in They Live.
Oh, wow. She looks really familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
But yeah, so he was supposed to go there to take him to go bowling, and he says, sorry, I can't take you with me. We have a change of plans.
What a dick. So he chose over fighting to the death. And possibly,
literally.
I guess literally. And in order to, instead of like hanging out with the kid, what if like Alex was like depending on him? And then how did the kid convince him to bring him?
What do you say? Well, because I think he told him, he said, he goes, I have to go with you because what if the serial killer comes to the house?
Oh, that's so
right.
To be by himself,
yes.
He says that he can kick some guy's ass, but now the serial killer will kill him.
But then, so then Chris Penn's response was like, all right, I'll bring you there, but you have to wait in the car for 3 hours.
Yeah, no, that was scary. In a very like seedy-ish looking dark neighborhood nightclub outside. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Nobody's looking to take a kid. But no, and then Chris Penn again, just like Wayne Newton gives us the whole exposition of the club. This is where he gives the exposition of like everything involved. And I think this is the first time he mentions about, but hey, all I gotta do is beat this guy, and you know what? I'll win this club. And the kid was like, I'm gonna tell you, better not tell my dad. And he's like, well, I'll tell my dad if you don't let me go inside. And it's somehow he can again. Chris Penn fought here one time.
He won a fight. One fight. Yep.
And he already knows the bodyguards and the Kane.
He knows the back. He knows the back door, like how to get in for the back door.
Hey, what's up with the kid? He goes, hey, don't mention it. He gives him some money.
He said, what did he say? He's my sparring partner.
Yeah. And what about the old guy that he leaves him with? So is that old guy not up to snuff when it comes to like people actually die here? Or was he just pretending that he wasn't dead?
Well, the old guy was also on the catwalk, so he probably snuck in too.
I thought he was like a video guy or something. Like a
No, he was just sitting there watching. I mean, there was only them two in the catwalk.
Jesus Christ. Because that part was so ridiculous to me when he's like, don't worry, kid, he's okay. I felt like the kid, even though that far away, like heard the neck snapping.
I thought he also broke his back when he picked him up.
Yeah, I
like,
thought that was too.
did he just do like a bomb? Like what's that wrestling move? The atomic bomb? Yeah, power bomb, or like he didn't break his back. He just slammed him down.
And he destroyed him. Did Chris Penn even get a shot off?
In the beginning, I think he punched him like 3 times to start off.
He got a few.
Yeah.
And then
he had a little hope.
And then he has his like Brackus has him like held up, and you're thinking he's not going to do anything more, and they're like spinning around looking at the crowd, and he just pulverizes him, and then Wayne Newton comes out, and the crowd's like, kill him.
Yeah.
Nobody else died. Is it only Brackus is allowed to kill?
Well, if he doesn't, then he loses the Coliseum.
Oh, but they didn't do it for the other fights. I mean, like those preliminary fights. They're
not psychotic. they're fighters. I mean, Baracus or B.A. Baracus or whatever his name is, he's psychotic. I mean, he gets cut in the face. He wants to murder the guy. He's a lunatic. I mean, I want to know what he does for a living. Where does he get his money besides the Coliseum? He owns helicopters and.
Like, well, they said, remember the one line when at the end when Wayne Newton's like, this place pulls in $40 million a year or something crazy.
He said that at the end, right? Or it wasn't the end?
Yeah. So that means they make a lot of money, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
But where did he get the money to buy it? Mr. Olympian money, maybe.
See?
Spoiler. Oh my God, dude. So then Walter, this is where he runs. This is like, I think I noticed Kane Hodder when he came to the door. And maybe I was like, oh, he looks familiar, that guy. But then when he starts chasing Walter, when Walter like screams after he sees him dead and he just runs out. And then this is like, again, why was that old guy saying like, hey, you want to get in my van?
I wrote it down. He wrote down, what do you write?
Something about a ride.
Hey, what's the matter, kid? Need a ride somewhere? What's the matter, kid?
And then right after that, let's hard cut to Eric Roberts dancing with his girlfriend to slow jazz. And they're like super close to each other. And how far did that kid run?
Not only that, it looked like he was like, almost like hallucinating. Like he saw like different people. He saw like he was like, that was actually a pretty good scene. Like it showed you the fear in this kid's face, then when he was running around. I mean, first of all, you're bringing a kid to live in Vegas, that's pretty tough. Adults
don't care about their kids,
Adults are the villains in every movie.
Running theme in sequels. Adults just don't care. They're like, hey, I can have fun. It's like, what about your kid? Maybe they cut the scene when he accidentally took ecstasy or something and he was like really tripping out, but they were like, hey, we can't have 11-year-old popping ecstasy in a movie.
Well, maybe the creepy guy gave it to him and that's why he wanted to give him a ride home.
Oh, maybe they were dancing with each other.
Because the guy just popped around the corner. Like, you didn't even see him. He just, like, popped his head around. Like,
like almost like a bus waiting like a bus stop. He just, like, popped out of nowhere. So Wayne Newton and Patrick Kilpatrick, man. It was so cool seeing them right next to each other. And I love the fact, so Walter runs to, I don't know how far he ran, and interrupts the date. Tells them what happened, like, Travis is dead. And so they go down there. Well,
they didn't believe him. They didn't believe him at first.
I know that. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't believe him. Does that seem like something that kid would make up?
Yeah, why would you make that up? And they went there like nonchalant, just like, all right, we're looking for our buddy.
Yeah. And Wayne Newton, I love when he's like, no, we don't do that here. We don't fight here. And then they ask him again. And then he's almost like,
well, they said he's probably out there dancing if he was here. And then Eric Robert goes, he doesn't dance. Now, is that a Footloose reference?
Ooh. That is pretty good. No, but I forgot we'll move. Oh, Austin Powers with Will Ferrell. Damn, 3 times when you asked him 3 times. That's what it felt like with Wayne Newton because he did that. He was like, no. And then he pulls him close. He's like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, he left. He was a little sore, but we got him in a cab. he had some bimbo with her tongue in his ear. I'm like, and they're probably like, you know what? That sounds like Travis. Because that was their only like interaction. They were in like that VIP room, and you know, he was like, he had like 3 girls on his arms. Wayne Newton was like, some girl I think was doing Wayne Newton's nails or something bizarre.
He does look like a guy that would get his nails done.
Yeah, he looks like a guy that gets his ass bleached too. And then the same music again during like this little montage of looking for Travis. They're like going around the city, like looking around for him. And
see, the music is weird because this is 93. You know, I mean, like it seems like very dated music for this movie.
It may be dated, but it sounds like Law and Order.
It does, but I mean,
like
you're talking, but it sounded like 80s, like TV show cop drama music, you know.
They needed that's all the money was left in the budget. They're just like, but they used the same song. It's not even like alteration of it. They used one other version of it that was just like really just like the notes of it, like just piano of it. It was, I couldn't believe it when it kept playing again and again. I'm like, what? You couldn't try a different one or songs with words? There's no songs with words in this whole movie, right?
The whole budget was spent on the video game sounds for the fighting scenes.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a butterfly kick, and oh my god, that.
Oh, and then there's no words to the song. It makes it more serious.
This is true.
You create your own words.
There you go.
But then Travis, they fish his body out of the river. And it seems like everybody was there pretty quick. Alex got there late. And man, Chris Penn looked like shit, dude. He looked like
he's been floating there for like weeks.
Well, I think he looked like he was a floating body, you know, like when he was fighting. He looks so bloated in this movie. Like you said, compared to Footloose, and honestly, compared to the first movie, he looks different.
You mean he doesn't look like he's in fighting shape?
No, not at all. He looked like like you said, he was an alternate, and the 10 guys ahead of him got hurt. And that's the only reason he did it. But dude, and then right away they're pissed. Alex says, "Tommy, we got to do something," and then they just go right back there. Dude, I love that whole scene.
That's when they go confront Brackus, right?
And he's hard.
Right,
it's the first time in his life he's gotten a cut. I guess he's never scraped.
That was his Dolph Lundgren scene. He had the same cut in his eye, and you found that he's not a machine.
He is human. But no, he gets so pissed. And then remember he gets pissed when the guy can't sew it right. He's like, "This is the best I could do."
I got news to you. That scar didn't look that bad. Like he made it sound like you're gonna be scarred is the best I can do, and it's like a little line.
So there are some great lines in this movie, like amazing lines. So when they're getting ready to leave the dinner after all that, they get confronted by and the security in this movie. These guys, why wouldn't they hire the guys that are fighting when they're not fighting to be security? Because these guys are not in shape.
You mean the guys that were chasing a kid on a bike who in a car and they couldn't even catch up to him?
Oh my god, they weren't even close.
Wait, you don't think those are trained guys?
Those are not trained guys. And how about when he goes to the one guy, "Hey, where'd you get that hat?" And he says, "It was left for me in a will." And then he gets kicked in the face. It's the best, dude. The whole part of that is so good.
You know, I didn't understand who those guys actually worked for. Did they work for Brackus? Did they work for?
Wait, the ones
was it a whole like criminal enterprise? Like I couldn't.
I think they were the casino guys, like the guys that worked at the place, because they all had the same jacket on.
Oh, yeah, like mustard, like the Hall of Fame jacket for the NFL. That's what it looked like. No, you're right, Andrew, because you don't know if they're in on it. Or they just think
I mean, they're trying to kill a kid. I'm pretty sure they were in on it, but I didn't know like say Chris Penn won. He beat Brackus. Then he takes over this criminal enterprise as well. Like I don't know. It was weird.
How does that happen? It's like, all right, I'm your new boss. I killed your old boss. So all right.
Yeah.
Tuesdays are funny shirt day. And that was the weird storyline, but I get it. You know, that's what's up on the line. That's how good that guy is, that he would basically put on the line every time he fights somebody.
Well, he's so good that when he got mad and he punched the column, the whole column moved.
Oh, dude. He is, dude. He's one of the biggest
He's also in Gladiator. He's in Gladiator.
Yeah. But
He's
monstrous.
He's a monster. I'd be curious to see him standing next to Arnold because he looks way wider than Arnold.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
that would have been great. Why didn't they ever get together in a movie? That'd been cool to see those two guys.
You think Arnold wants someone that's bigger than him?
But then he beats his ass.
Yeah, but Arnold has to be the big guy.
Yeah, that's true. What about Stallone? Why didn't he ever fight Stallone?
Oh,
Stallone's short.
He is very short.
I will say that I thought James for a minute was Steven Seagal. I thought there was a Steven Seagal appear.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I was just disappointed when I figured out it wasn't.
So I think we're a little far from that, but no, James is we'll get into him. So we're at Travis's funeral. Dehan shows up. He's there, and he said, "Whatever you guys need, I'll help." And obviously, we knew he was going to come back, which is
so.
Great.
That was the bad guy in the first movie.
Well, he was just on the opposite team.
Oh, well,
he was in Korea.
So there was no bad guy. They were just fighting a team.
They were all just good guys.
What happened to his eye?
Sort of.
He always had one eye. What was his? No, I'm being serious. I don't like. I mean, what? Because when I saw the clip, he was, when he fights him, he wasn't wearing a patch.
Oh, I don't know. Did that happen in the? So, I thought he always had a patch.
Not in the fight.
In the first one, now.
Really?
Listen, I saw the last scene when he was debating and he's kicking the guy to knock him down at all. He didn't have a patch on.
Huh.
All right. Oh. Huh. I thought maybe like he poked his eye out in the last match and,
Eric Roberts. But so this scene's kind of confusing. I know obviously Alex cares about his friend and wants people to know hey, something happened to my buddy, but he's trying to convince his girlfriend, who's a sportscaster, to break a story about a guy that got killed. It just didn't seem like. I understand he was pissed, but he was really pissed.
Yeah, that was a weird fight.
Was he trying to bring the operation down, or just through the story about the death of his friend?
I think it was just the death of the friend, trying to find out who did it. Obviously they know after talking to him, Brackus, but I don't know. Just what did you expect to do? Why didn't he just talk to? And why didn't they call the cops? The whole movie.
Well, they're just karate guys, right? Karate, they have no experience with guns or anything, and they go in there, two guys to take down a whole empire.
Well, they're the best in the United States.
Well, they're the best of the best.
The best of the best.
Okay.
I think James Earl Jones says that line in the first one. He says after the training or the tryouts, he's like, "You are the best of the best."
Wait, James Earl Jones trains them?
He's the karate coach of the U.S. team.
When I think karate, I think James Earl Jones.
But no, that whole scene. So this is right when the part when they're getting ready to book out of there, right? This is when they're. So why do they leave?
Leave where? To leave to go to the reservation
after their house was ambushed.
Right.
Oh,
they came to the house, so they knew they were coming after the whole family.
Yeah.
So then they take the road trip to the desert. And,
I feel like this from this point on, the movie takes a turn. It's almost like a completely different movie.
Oh, it is. It's kind of like a drama. Well, obviously, besides the fight, it's kind of like a drama. It's about I don't know. It's between the father and son, and then
the whole. I didn't understand the whole James part. I mean, it was funny, and I was like, "What's the point of this?" And then, this is where the more drama comes in. I love the grandmother. She was great.
She was great. But no, one thing from when they did break into the house, the one thing I loved about that whole part was Tommy when he humiliated the guy. Remember when the guy put the gun to Tommy's head? And he took the gun, and he put it to his head and made the guy dude, that was awesome.
Okay, so we're going back to the henchmen. So the size of the gun he goes against Tommy was a tiny gun, and then he takes a knife, like a barber's knife.
Dude, yeah.
It wasn't even like a switchblade. It was like a barber's knife. These guys couldn't have better weapons, at all.
No, and he pulled it, I think, from his ankle. It was an ankle knife, and he was But no, that whole thing that scene was crazy.
Yeah.
They ambushed again later in the movie, but God, man, just the fact of and then they get scared shitless, which I don't blame them, and then they go off to the desert. I didn't know where they were going. I remember James, but I just didn't remember how it got introduced. But his story.
Well, it's funny. What Walter even questioned when he said that's my grandmother or something like that. I'm watching this. I'm like, wait, Tommy's not Asian? Like, because
Yeah.
And then at the same time, Eric Roberts goes to Walter. He goes, "I'll explain later." Yeah. I'm like, all right. But at first, I honestly thought he might have been American Indian. Like, I missed something.
Yeah, I felt so racist. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, Tommy. I'm sorry for stereotyping you as a karate Asian guy. I am so sorry. And then I read the biography, and I'm like, wait, he's Korean. I don't have to be sorry.
Forget what I said. I'm not sorry anymore.
And then when they were on their drive there, they drove past, like, I know windmills were a thing, but a lot of windmills. So maybe they were like, hey guys, let's care about nature, think about renewable energy. As they drove past it, it was like a really long shot. But so let's talk about James, dude. I think
wait, right before James, they start their Rocky IV training.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, they started that without him.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, they're just using the house. They're using whatever they can find to train and buff up. Yeah.
It looked like the same warehouse or whatever barn that Rocky trained in.
Rocky IV. It's the same. You're right. Yeah.
It is.
Exactly. And how about James? Here's who he looked like. He looked like Dave Matthews. Like, not even like, and how drunk was he?
Oh,
he's barfing. And
I honestly, I thought that scene was very funny. Like, because he obviously was sort of a badass because he threw Tommy around.
Oh, and then
as he was drunk,
he was one of the best in the world.
Yeah,
he was a drunken karate master.
He was. But then he couldn't continue because he was throwing up too much.
Well, he throws up when he wakes up. She wakes him up, and he like drinks out of his fifth, and then that makes him barf. And then he kicks the shit out of him. Dude, how about when Eric Roberts walks up to him and he like kind of squares up, like, and he hadn't expected him to punch. He punches me. And he's like, whoa, man. What was that? He was like mind blown that this guy that he was about to punch punched him first.
He's also a big dude. Like I didn't realize how big. I forgot. That's when I thought of him from Predator. He's another big guy. I mean, he's awesome.
It's right here.
He is right there. He's looking right at you.
He is. Not a lot of photos for this movie online. Very disappointing.
I don't know how you don't have Baracus up there. Oh.
Might be in my head because I don't want to look at him. It scares me. But, dude, the whole thing that he is the better fighter, he really is. He says, I'll rip your ears right off your goddamn head, shove up your ass so you can hear that ass whooping.
Why is he so angry at like his family? Like he's the one that left with the money. He took the grandmother's money. Like he seems like he has such a chip on his shoulder for his family. Like they don't really explain why he's so angry.
I would say he's pissed at Tommy because Tommy got the recognition. So maybe James, he wasn't in the first one. So maybe he didn't go that route and wanted to fight. Like, it seemed like he fought in like those tournaments that like Van Damme would be in.
Right.
All different places. Then he's like, I want 3 people alive that can tell you how to beat Brackus. And he's like, remember that car accident I told you about? He's like, Brackus. And there were some nasty scrapes, dude. It looked like Freddy Krueger like tore him up.
That was a weird one. Like, so did he fight Brackus and live? Like, I would have liked to know more of that story. Maybe there could have been like a flashback or something.
Yeah, if he lost to him, how does he know how to beat him?
Well, maybe he's like, I should have done this, and if you do this, but that doesn't mean you're going to.
Because the only thing he really brought to the table was the fact that Tommy's gonna have to use those sticks.
Oh yeah, dude.
And twirl them. Like he taught him how to twirl the sticks.
But he was full of shit, though, because he goes, you're going to have to learn to use the bow for the preliminaries. And Tommy didn't use those until he fought Brackus.
Yeah, that's what I thought about, too. I'm like, wait. And then it wasn't used until the end of that fight.
Very end. Yeah.
But no. But I like how he made him. He's like, don't pick it up like that. And he showed him. And he didn't have to ever pick it up like that, right?
I was in his he did. He never picked it up like that. And Tommy looked like he was amazed because like he was all awkward doing it. Like, that seems like the obvious choice, And then Eric Roberts smacked himself in the head about 5 times.
Yeah, that's what black belts usually do with the weapons.
And then we get another montage. This is like kind of the same thing. Them training in the garage, hanging, just doing like curls. And they were really doing those curls. So those guys are in pretty freaking sick shape.
Well, he was only on. He was doing sit-ups. He was only number 6 because you hear him go 5, 6. So they really weren't doing that many.
Or maybe that was 1,000.
Oh,
and when they went 1,000, they reset.
That's true.
They do more. How sad was that scene with Walter when he goes to his dad? He's like, "Hey, Dad, I know you're gonna fight Brackus, and you could kill him, or he can kill you." And just Alex's response when he's like, "Hey, man, nothing's ever gonna happen to me." It's like, dude, he just saw another guy that's a great fighter get his neck snapped in front of a lot of rich white people that were like excited about it.
Wait. He was a great fighter?
He was the best of the best.
Listen, even the best of the best have alternates. That listen, again, he was on the JV side of the best of the best. I don't know. I don't know if I put Chris Penn as even when you're watching him fight, he throws a couple punches. That's it.
I love that. Just to go back to him, what he was wearing, the colors. The one time he came out.
Oh, he's Ryu Ken. Yeah.
It was Ryu the first time. Yeah.
Well, he was with the blue, I think, the first time, and then he switched to the red. He should have stayed with the blue. I don't know.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Well, what he was wearing also covered up a lot of his fat, so he didn't look as fat, wearing that.
But the people didn't know that because they just kept calling him fat. You guys notice Walter's shirts were so big for the rest of the movie,
and his pants. He looked ridiculous. Like, I don't. That was kind of well.
He was very excited when Grandma said, "You want to help me feed the chickens?" And he said, "Yeah." And then I noticed his shirt was like super tucked in, and like the pocket was like really low on him.
He probably changed at Grandma's house and was wearing James clothes.
Oh, that's like barf. Barf.
That's true. I mean, how much time did they have to get out of that house? Yeah, that's true.
So we kind of skipped over this. So the grandma goes to James. It's either you help him out or you pack your bags. So he looks at the bottle. He's pissed drunk. And then he just like stops. Next morning.
No, he does take it. He takes 2 more drinks.
Yeah. But I'm saying then the next morning, he's perfect.
I wrote that down. He sobered up very quickly. And he looks like he's been clean for like years.
He looks godly because he's wearing the white and the black cowboy hat.
So you're talking, I'm assuming, those guys start training pretty early in the morning. It was dark out when the grandmother went to speak to him.
Yeah.
Talking about maybe 6 hours. 6 hours to clean your entire life up of alcoholism in 6 hours.
That's like an infomercial product, or like those late night commercials about like.
You know what he probably did? He probably sat in that sauna tent and sweated it all out.
Yeah, I love seeing that sweat lodge. It just made me think of Craig T. Nelson and other guys too, just freaking out.
Same reservation.
Same. I did. Oh, honestly, did you notice that one guy? I think it was the same guy from. I'm telling you.
You mean the old guy in the tent?
The older guy in the tent was the same guy from Poltergeist 2.
It's probably the same guy in every movie that has some kind of.
Hey, we got a sweat lodge scene. Is Billy available?
Well, it's probably his. They probably say, listen, you could be in our movie, but we got to use a sweat lodge.
Yeah. Like a little kid down the street. It's like, all right, man, if we could play with your ball, you can hang it. It's like, oh, cool. But I love the cutaway scene. So this is what's cool about the training was they're showing them training and then cutting to Brackus. He's doing some crazy shit too, man. He is fighting people like on the lawn in the backyard of some mansion and just beats the shit out of like 7 or 8 guys. And then casually walks inside and he talks to like Wayne Newton, like saying, "Where's Tommy Lee? I need Tommy Lee."
His fighting is basically a power punch. There's one power punch that they go flying. Like he's that big.
Nothing. It just the whole movie. I wish that's what's really cool about the ending, which we'll get to obviously the final scene, is because that's all he did. The whole power punch.
Yeah.
And the last scene kind of shocked me because Andrew watches wrestling. I don't watch it as much anymore. But you used to have those big guys, and it was just the same kind of like match. With this, I haven't seen the movie in years, and I love this movie. The final scene really brings it. There's so much to it. It's not like a quick, like, kind of, I don't know. Just wasn't quick.
No, well, Finch was quick.
Finch was way too quick. That must have sucked, man.
You know what? I think you're right, though. There has to be another scene because, I mean, like, the way he he turned that corner and you see Eric Roberts, like, there had to be some kind of fight. Something had to be
I
something.
thought he was going to pull a gun out.
But I just thought there was.
Why doesn't he have a gun?
Tommy had all the credit for the end. He got the great fight. So you think Eric Roberts would have this? Like, this is his fight against Finch, and there must be a hidden. You know what? We'll have to talk to.
Yeah, well, I'll be interviewing him in a few weeks. So I'll ask him. But no. So that again, why doesn't he have a gun?
Yeah,
Eric Roberts is really far away. And what is he? We'll talk about it now since we're talking about it. But when he said something about like Buckaroo. Right? He said something buckaroo to him, and then you just see him fly through the glass. But why wouldn't a guy like that? He seems like he's pretty high up. I think he's probably like the number 2 to Wayne Newton. No gun?
Well, he doesn't need one. It's Patrick Kilpatrick. Well, what do you need a gun for?
Somebody killed Patrick.
You know what's funny though? Early on in the movie, when Brackus is arriving, it was, I don't know if it was when he was arriving, he said to somebody, he was like, "Get rid of the gun, it's unmanly."
Yeah.
But then the rest of the movie, everybody's just shooting.
That is true.
So maybe that one guy like listened to Brackus. He's like, "All right, so I'll listen."
The henchmen, again, we discussed, they're not the smartest guys. What was the deal with the one henchman at the reservation that they blew up?
Oh,
okay.
Was there a backstory? Did I miss something with that backstory?
No,
or
you didn't miss anything. There was nothing. There was no reason for it, but
like there was hatred with the other henchmen with him, but they don't explain that.
And then they made a joke after it too. They're like, "I always told Gus he would die from smoking."
Yeah, and they killed 2 guys. So that whole scene, Alex gets woken up. The bad guys walk in with machine guns. Helicopter lands. You have all the bad guys. Patrick Kilpatrick is there. And, dude, they just start popping off shots. James comes out of nowhere. Dude, very sober guy, changes life around. What happens? He gets killed.
His fingers get blown off first.
True.
That looked cool.
And then when he stabs the guy, and you still see his hand with no fingers, and
Dude, he's crawling, like army crawling. And just like right in the
Listen, his grandmother, was that his mom or grandmother? His grandmother,
I think they called her grandma, but it was the mom. I think she was a foster mom for a bunch of people.
No, not for him.
Well, I don't know.
No, that was his real mom.
How do you know? Did you look at the birth certificate?
I don't need to. They look alike.
Okay.
Right.
Oh.
Wait, now you're saying it's his real mom as in like real life.
No, in the movie, it's his mom. He said my son. At one point, I thought she said my son left, and something like that or whatever. Regardless, he made up in that 4 minutes the whole life, the old shitty life that he had. He made up for it right there.
He was the hero.
Patrick
Kilpatrick, another one of his great lines in this movie.
I love it,
dude. When he says, "Want me to give her a third eyeball?"
Oh. No, I thought you were gonna say when his own henchman touched him, "Don't touch me."
Yeah. Who said? Wait, did he say "Don't touch me," or who said that you can touch me?
No, he said, "Don't ever touch me."
Oh, don't ever touch me. Oh my god, dude.
But now that's the guy that blew up that touched him.
No, so there was a guy in the house. So they make him go back in the house. They take Tommy, and they're basically gonna kill all of them. So that was the thing.
Right.
So Eric Roberts' son balls on this 11-year-old. So we saw him act tough, no babysitter. Travis comes, serial killer. Next time he says, "I got this." He does like a crazy double air kick to an Uzi, right?
Well, he throws the rattlesnake thing first.
Oh, yeah.
So he got motivation from the mom. The mom was like the hero in this whole movie, or grandma, because she said, "Listen, what'd you say? Fear? No, courage." She goes, "Courage is not having fear; it's doing the right thing or something like that in the face of fear." And that so right when that happened, he looked at her and she like nodded, and that's when he threw the rattlesnake tail.
Yeah, and he did the double kick, knocks the gun in the air. Eric Roberts has it, knocks the guy in the ground. But again, it's really sad. I don't know about sad because he's a bad guy, but he was basically like, "I'm going to let this guy live," because they're expecting 4 shots. So he just fires them in the air.
Yep.
But so at that scene, we don't know what happens, but we see obviously they're out of there when it explodes, but that guy got left in there probably, unless they took him with them because he wasn't injured. He was just like punched.
Right.
But the black guy that touched him, and he said, "Don't you ever touch me." They let him go back towards the house, and we see him running, and it looks like the stuntman or really the actor, like running through flames that didn't look like.
That's what I mean. Like they seem very angry at that guy. Like, they left him to die, and then Patrick said, "Don't touch me." Like he must have done something where they pissed them both off before that. Like they didn't show a scene, and they obviously hated him. But let me ask you this question: so the kid, he didn't get his black belt because he didn't break the brick. Now he totally, saves the day, and he kicks that guy. Do you think that earns a black belt, or do you think like when he goes back home, they're like, "Listen, you still have to break the brick"?
Do you imagine he saves the world and it's like, sorry, man. No,
you don't break the brick, you don't get that black belt.
He should get it.
Shouldn't he like automatically get it?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Right away. Not even a question. Like right now, they should just pause the movie, have a ceremony, have all those other kids that kind of look down at him at the luncheon. Let Tommy start fighting by himself. So then, dude, Alex is all about bringing his kid on this suicide mission. He brings him and makes him stay with the girlfriend, the sports.
Well, he has no one else to watch him anymore.
There is nobody else.
I mean, the place they were at Grandma's house is all blown up. So, yeah.
Where did Grandma go?
She went to the tent. They're hanging at a tent.
No,
they did have a bunker. Remember that? Because when
that's where they hid
in the
basement.
bunker. So she probably has like a fully finished basement underneath. So she's probably fine. Don't worry.
She's good. She's like, I'm good. I'm going back downstairs. I got some beans that are expiring. But no, I forgot about that. So they didn't even sneak out of the back of the house. Dude, so they left that guy again, I know the guy was going to kill them, but they left the guy to die, to explode.
Well, they did just kill her son.
No, that's true.
So, I mean, and that was pretty rough to watch because the mom, finally felt happy for her son. Imagine that your child has been a disappointment your whole life. He's been an alcoholic and just a douche, and he finally redeemed himself, and then he dies like 2 minutes later.
Can we talk real quick, and then we can close this part out? But so can we talk about why were they using, like again, wrestling reference, the garbage cans? I actually have one. I've never thought I would ever own one of those, like silver garbage cans, the lid and everything.
The Oscar the Grouch ones.
Yes, Oscar the Grouch. How about when they had little ones and they were pouring the gasoline out of there? Like, did they drive that helicopter with like open things of gasoline in buckets, or was there a gas station right on the? I don't know.
They look like there was nothing nearby at all. Like they were really isolated in that desert. There was nothing nearby, so I don't think a gas station was there.
When they were pouring it, and then that's what they lit on fire. I'm like, wait, why would you put gasoline in like an open container? They couldn't even like afford like the red container. Maybe they got to set that day. They're like, where's the intern? Where are you with the red containers? And he forgot them, so they just used. Oh my God! But
their company makes $40 million a year with that thing. You can't.
Again, they have all that money. They couldn't get not only better henchmen, like we've been talking about the whole time, but more. Like 2 helicopters can't go there because it almost seemed like those other guys wouldn't have fit on the helicopter. Maybe that's why they killed them.
Well, how'd they get there in the first place?
Some drove there and then their cars exploded.
Okay. I was going to say, they went there, but they weren't thinking ahead because they still had to take, Tommy back.
Yeah, that's what they thought. They went there with like full capacity. They're like, shit, we got to fit Tommy on this thing. And they killed the one guy. They're like, hey, why'd you choose him? He ate my sandwich out of the break room. So I love Tommy when he gets there and he's training and his first fight, dude, that guy looked like a real fighter, the Hammer and Wayne Newton's line. And I thought the only Hammer was a rapper. What do I know? And then he says, you love it. You love it. Dude, if I had a tuxedo, I would have wore that today. Because that was, oh my God, dude. His lines in this whole movie are the best. But that guy looked like a real fighter, right? He was super, he reminded me of Anderson Silva.
They probably were, I bet you all those guys were like the kickboxer, the boxer, the Olympic boxer. They probably were.
So everyone was a fighter except Chris Penn.
Well, now you're saying he's not a fighter.
He doesn't look like one at all. So the next fight I thought was a pretty cool fight because that guy looked pretty jacked.
Wait, is he the Olympic wrestler?
Stavros, yeah.
Okay, he didn't do one wrestling move He didn't do anything.
No.
I mean, the guy was a monster. He was big. Like I expected him, like at least grab him, like maybe like throw him around a little bit. Nothing.
Yeah, and then he punishes it, right? And this is where he does like a sweet kick. Is this where he does the?
Yes, he does a cartwheel.
The cartwheel.
The cartwheel kick.
Effects.
Yeah.
Andrew, I think in the beginning, the demonstration you did at the beginning, I think you would have got your black belt, and I think you could have probably beat out Chris Penn for the U.S. national karate.
But I didn't have the sound effects. I mean, that was the problem.
You also didn't break the brick. You got to bring the brick out.
I'll add some sound effects in post. Like helicopter sounds. Like. So I wrote this down. So Brackus, think of Brackus right now. Could his brother in this movie, if he had a goofy brother character, think about it, Gerard Depardieu. He looks like him.
He doesn't look like Gerard Depardieu. Oh, wait. You know what? For a second, I'm thinking Gerard Butler. You talking about the guy from the Green Card? Like the German guy, the
yeah.
He does.
He does. And this is the first time I noticed like a thing that was crazy. So they kept showing this woman in the crowd, like this old woman. She was very attractive, like in a diamond dress, shouting like this. They reused the same shot because the popcorn guy walked past her. And then like a couple minutes toward the end of the fight, they used that same cut.
The popcorn guy walked by again?
It was the same yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I did enjoy the nunchuck ponytail guy.
That was a great one. He was like straight out of Mortal Kombat. That was fantastic.
Yeah, but the guy comes out in nunchucks and then throws them on the ground in the beginning of the fight. He doesn't use it until the end of the fight. Like I thought it was going to be like a badass thing, and he doesn't even use it. He uses his hair. He whips his hair back and forth.
That was cool. Willow Smith.
See,
dude, Will watched this movie, got inspired, wrote the song, said, "Hey, I don't have long enough hair at the age
there you
of
go.
20.
See,
save this for my daughter one day."
That's it.
But dude, I did like the hair. But you're right, the nunchucks. At first, I was like, "Oh, he probably can't use them. It's like against the rules." And then no,
there are no rules,
anyway.
And there are no rules.
Yeah, and you love it. Yeah. God, I love that. Yeah, and he kicks his ass. Another guy, he like just punt. It's weird. Chris Penn was able to like skip the line. Like he had fast pass.
So he pissed off Brackus. Remember, he pissed him off.
They also but they also looked at him. They're like, you know what? I could see this guy going against Brackus just by look, because he only had one fight, and he went right to the top.
Yeah, because obviously Tommy is now. We're how far into this movie? An hour in the movie.
Yeah.
Did you guys put together that? Obviously, it's probably a name of but Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee. Yep. Right.
I'm like, they had to use that name because obviously at that time, Pam, right? He was probably dating Pamela Anderson at this point. 93.
Yeah.
The video was out, I'm sure.
What video?
My dad used to have it in his underwear drawer.
roll the clip. Roll the clip.
Roll it. Oh, we don't own it? Okay. So how did Alex's girlfriend, so they were only there for like 2 seconds. So when he drops off Walter to the sportscaster, and I love that he was almost still like, I don't want you. He was like, we're okay for now. We'll talk about it later.
He's annoyed.
But he said nothing, right? He didn't say anything about Tommy, right? He said, I have to go take care of something. And then she says to the kid about Tommy, I think she says, like, don't worry, Tommy will be all right or something. I'm like, unless, again, they cut the scene or the kid told him without us knowing. No, it's weird. I'm like, how the fuck would she know? Then I thought she's in on it. I don't know why. I was like, the
movie's 2 hours long. So, the original cut is probably about 2.5 hours. So, I mean, think about that. So, I mean, there had to be a little bit more to that story, too.
I want that, dude. Yeah, I want the Snyder cut for this. give me all the fighting. All of it. All the training. All the Law and Order music. I need it. Now,
I wonder how Alex knew they were going to put him in the tournament. Did anybody tell him that, hey, Tommy's going to go fight in the tournament, or did he just assume?
Well, they kidnapped him, so he probably figured. Listen, he's a smart guy.
Dude. So this is like
So first of all, why was Alex wearing a suit and tie?
and he rented it. He said it's a rental.
Okay. It does not get messed up. It's the jacket stays closed the entire time he's fighting everybody.
But he does get blood on it.
Okay, but his tie is still perfect. And his suit jacket, first of all, if you're going in to fight a bunch of henchmen, are you going to wear like a suit jacket? Like, wouldn't you like feel restricted?
Well, maybe that's the way he only thought he can get in, but it didn't matter.
Okay, so take it off when you get in.
Well, I know. But
I go to a wedding. I want the jacket off as soon as I get there because I feel like I'm restricted. I mean, he's fighting people. The button does not unbutton the whole time.
maybe when he got fitted, they're like, oh, so what size do you need? He's like, I'm going to need to karate chop. Do you have the karate chop option? Sir, that's $20 more for the rental. Yeah, I can afford it. Eric Roberts. But no, that whole scene was awesome. And Tommy gives him a trinket, the one that grandma gave, which comes into play.
It does.
Of course. But, dude, I love it.
He also meets up with his brother.
Huh?
His brother, One-Eyed Willie.
Okay.
Oh, One-Eyed Willie. But first, he has to stab Kane Hodder in the hand to get into the club on the second floor. And it's funny, that scene, like getting ready to interview Eric Roberts, I went back and watched the scene in Dark Knight. And that scene, it looked the same because they were sitting at the table talking and the henchmen are coming in. And, dude, I love these types of scenes in movies. Like Death Wish 3, Andrew, that whole ending scene, I want to know that it's nonstop for the rest of the movie. And it was. From then on, they were just kicking the shit out of everyone and then almost like moving to the next level. So then after they beat the shit out of those guys, then they go downstairs and beat the shit out of Morgan.
It was like a video game. It was like a video game level. And what was cool is they kept going back to Tommy also, showing what's going on in the ring while Eric Roberts is fighting. Yeah.
No, that was cool, the back and forth. I enjoyed that. How about the old white guy that goes, 500,000 on Brackus, and the girl goes, counter, please. I'm like, why is that in this movie? Like, we know that people want Brackus to win. Everybody's cheering for him. And I wonder what the odds are on that because he's supposed to be. I remember earlier in the movie, they said Chris Penn's odds. Travis, he's like, oh, you're doing good, kid. Won that first fight. Beat a good fighter. You're 40-1, which is terrible. So I wonder what that 500,000 was going to get that guy back, like $1,000, since Brackus he's never lost. So why would? But yeah, that girl, counter, please. I'm like, come on, why do we have to do that? That's probably like some like producer's daughter, girlfriend, or something. So then so one thing that was really creepy. I don't know if you guys thought this is kind of creepy, but. So when Tommy's training in that back room just before the Brackus fight, he's like still working out. Again, is he fighting back to back to back, or are these separate days?
No, they're back to back. It's like a commercial break. Damn. Remember, he said, we'll be right back. You guys have, I think Wayne Newton says you have time to take a piss and come back or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, he's fighting these back to back to back.
Jesus.
Well, it's like Bloodsport. Same thing. They did the same thing. Karate Kid.
But he's the only one. There's no other fights going on. So they're sitting there waiting for him. But the thing that was crazy, so this makes it even worse. So after he's done fighting, he goes back and does workouts. Because how about the henchman, the guy in a suit? He wasn't a mustard. I don't know who's higher. And I guess suits are probably higher than mustard jacket. But the guy's staring at him train. I'm just like, what do you think he's going to do? He wants to fight him. Really, he wanted to do that right at that point. So I don't think he would run away even if.
What's the point of training? Your body's already loose. Like, I mean, if he just fought 3 fights.
Yeah.
You really need to. Wouldn't you want to save any energy you could?
I don't think he broke a sweat though, right? But I mean, I don't think he took. Did he get? I don't think he was hit in any of the 3 of those fights, was he?
The last one, well, the hair whip guy got him a few times.
Oh yeah, he did get hit with the hair whip. I did like that one. How about the old cowboy guy? Another scene. They just throw these random lines when he looks at the 2 girls. I got a hotel room. How about you bring your friend too? And then he looks at Nehan and he's like, hey, you don't look like you're from around here. And I'm like, And then he didn't even say anything to him, and he goes, "I'm from Houston."
Yeah, that whole that guy had like no purpose whatsoever. It was just so it was filler.
It was just to show that Tejan was in the casino or the stock exchange as well. That's probably.
And why do 8 guys with machine guns have to escort Tommy out to the ring? Again, he's not going anywhere. Even if they said, "Here's the door," he's like, "No, I want to kill this guy."
They had more weapons there than they did when they went to the grandma's house.
That is true. They were more prepared to bring an escort guy to the ring where no one's going to harm him, rather than when they're going there to kill everyone that they wanted to. Yeah, that makes no sense. But yeah, like we were talking about, the back and forth was really good.
And at this point, Tommy's getting his ass kicked now. Like he's starting to get his ass kicked bad.
Oh, dude, against Brackus, it was to the point. Obviously, I knew something had to happen to help him. Man, he was getting pummeled real bad.
I wasn't sure though, because when he was in that sauna tent, he had a vision of getting shot. Right?
Oh, yeah, that was bizarre.
So I thought he was going to get like beat up or something. In like that, the vision was like, so basically that vision meant nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think kind of like the training with the picking up of the steps with your foot. Because that was like a very important thing to James. And then they were like, fuck it. That would be a really cool ending thing. It's like, pick it up. And he does it real quick and something like that, but nothing.
Well, he didn't need it. He had the nut shot.
The nut shot. Oh, dude, that was after Kilpatrick. But before that, one of my there's a lot of great lines in this movie. But when Eric Roberts, when the fat bouncer, again, another guy, how is he like blocking? He's the last line of defense. You know, it's like enemy at the gates. You have that one last guy. The most important guy should be there. They have this fat guy that says, "Sorry, guys." What does it say? "Oh, sorry, fellas, private club." And then Eric Roberts goes and just like decks him. And then they just beat the shit out of everyone. One guy gets thrown through the glass. And
he telegraphed that punch like it was like a slow motion punch. Like he saw it coming. Like ridiculous.
That's he wanted to insult him even more. He's like, you know it's coming, but you ain't moving. And they just clean house. That whole scene that's what I love about movies like that, with like those action type of movies like this, the karate, like good fighting. Like nowadays, some of these movies we've gotten lucky. We've honestly some gems like
Roadhouse 2.
Stallone.
Extractors
3. That's shockingly great fight scenes. But this movie had really good. I love these kind of ending. Like,
well, I like when he goes to Tommy's brother. He goes, "There's 4 guys over there. You take them. I'm going to get Tommy."
Yeah. And then that's when he sees Kilpatrick, and we see he says like Buckaroo or something. And then, dude, I can't believe that sucked. I even wrote down before that happened. I wrote Alex versus Kilpatrick.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I wrote, and all we see is Kilpatrick fly through.
There has to be more to that.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
And then that distracted who Brackus is like basically murdering him at this point.
Yeah.
Wait, didn't you have him in a chokehold?
He did. He was choking him, and that's where the nut shot. And then I guess, I don't know, momentary distraction, typical wrestling plot, just
this is wrestling.
Nut shot.
And that changed the whole course of time.
That changed it.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice the really cool special effects they did for this scene? So they probably took like a mold of Brackus's face, because the one kick was a real kick from Tommy, but it definitely wasn't the guy's face because you saw it change a little bit. But dude, it looked the impact on it.
Yeah.
I love that. And again, he tried to be good, right? He tried to like let him live.
Oh, he said, "Listen, lay down and you don't die," or something like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what exactly. Lay down and you don't die. And then within 2 seconds later, he turns, he looks at Alex, and they're like, and he turns and wrestling move. It was like a reverse stunner, friggin' snapped the guy's neck.
Listen, he broke, Chris Penn's neck, so it was justice.
He seemed hard. Obviously, he had to do it, but obviously, like karate is like the whole thing about that. You're not supposed to like hurt people or kill them. And he seemed sad. Tommy changed that day. I wonder if the third movie, Tommy's just like a recluse, and he's just like.
Well, I read this synopsis. I think they save a teacher or something like that. There's like white supremacists or something like that.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
There's actually a 4th one,
I saw that. Is anybody in the third one? Is Tommy in the third one?
Tommy. No, I think Tommy's in all. Tommy's in all of them. And then I saw like, you'll recognize a couple of faces that you always see villains, just like, Kilpatrick. You'll see other people that you've seen in other movies in the other ones too.
Al Leon?
I don't know.
That's the guy. It's the henchman. That's an.
I know. Yeah, it's not. I didn't see his face, but yeah.
So then now Tommy, he wins the club. It's all his. What would you do, Andrew, if you did that? You just snap Brackus's neck. You're offered this club that obviously kills people. Well, what are your thoughts?
Start it back up. I mean, why not? $40 million, dude. Like, go build Grandma's ranch back up. You get yeah.
That is true. Like, you only have to run it, even if you didn't believe in it. Just run the club.
Now, does he have to fight? That would be the thing. Does he now have to fight?
Well, you have to, because then then you have to give up the Coliseum. So it's
yeah, that's true. Well, maybe
why don't you do like a wrestling thing? He lets Wayne Newton fake punch him, fall on the ground, pin him, and then Wayne Newton runs the club. But how pissed was Wayne Newton? He's like, champ, everybody. He's just a little nervous. Probably first time on the microphone. He's like,
he at one point, I don't know if he said that at the end or in the middle, he's like, do this for me. Like, he said something like that. Like, dude, this guy just basically is like the meanest guy around. He wants a favor from them.
So what do you want to do, champ? And he's like, the club is closed. And then Wayne Newton's trying to follow them. And then, dude, how great was that?
Yeah. I was afraid he wasn't getting punched. Like, I was waiting that whole time for some kind of kick or punch, and he was walking out, and I'm like, oh, come on, he's got to get punched. And sure enough, Eric Roberts.
Oh, dude, Eric Roberts to save the day. So that was it. That was Best of the Best Part 2. Start with our guest, Karate Master, Andrew. Andrew, what were your thoughts?
I thought this was an excellent karate film, action film. It was predictable, but it was pleasantly predictable. It followed exactly how you wanted it. The action scenes were awesome. The fight scenes were awesome. A lot of awesome dialogue. I think it was better than the first one.
Oh, I do too.
I'm gonna throw that out there. I thought it was more entertaining.
All right, Jamie.
Yeah, it's a typical 80s action flick. I don't think I want to watch the other ones just because, this is good, and I'm afraid it's only going to go downhill from any of them. So I want to leave on a high note with this one. Listen, it reminded me of some other movies I really like I said, like Lionheart and Bloodsport. I love those movies, Van Damme movies, and it kind of had that same kind of feel to it. And I think it was very entertaining. So if you've never seen any of them, you might as well just watch this one.
And was there anything you guys would have changed at all, with these movies?
It's tough. I mean, because there's really maybe again the Kilpatrick part to me. You have your number one henchman there. Eric Roberts deserves to fight one bad guy also. Tommy had the scene ending, with the main bad guy. Give Eric Roberts that also, like Double Impact. You remember the movie Double Impact with Van Damme?
Yeah.
So one fought, Chong Li from Bloodsport. The other one fought the other bad guy. Give Eric Roberts that fight. Good, just a 5-minute fight, but something else. I think that to me really was the only thing I would change. Otherwise, I think it was pretty good. I mean, there's really not much. The movie is what it is. I don't think there's nothing to really change.
No.
You know what I found was really interesting for me, Doug, not seeing the first one. So the whole time, Eric Roberts' name is plastered on the poster. I'm like, all right, he's the main guy. And then you see Tommy Lee, and I'm like, okay, they give him a sidekick. And throughout the whole movie, I'm watching it, and I'm thinking like Rocky IV. Apollo is getting his ass kicked by Drago, and then Rocky has to avenge him. And then up until the final scene, I'm like, all right, Eric Roberts is going to jump in. He's going to kick ass. And then it never happens. And I go, holy shit, this movie was never about Alex. This was always about Tommy. And I was like, damn, that's fucking awesome.
It was kind of the thing, because you would think, with Eric, like you said, Eric Roberts being on the poster. I love it.
But I mean, obviously Tommy's like the real deal. I don't know how far Eric Roberts' karate goes. I mean, I know he trained, he did some kind of, but I mean, Tommy's the real deal. So, you can only go so far with your acting, I mean, in a karate movie. So, and it's, if you have Tommy's name, leading, who's really going to watch it? who heard of Tommy, whatever his name is, the actor's name.
Tommy Lee.
Tommy, whatever his name is.
Yeah. I mean,
Philip Lee, right? Is that his name?
But you know what? I think they gave Eric Roberts enough for him to show what he knows, because he was involved in all the other action scenes, pretty heavily.
So that was it. That was Best of the Best Part 2. Next movie we're coming. Whew, the death count in this one is unbelievable. And I'm talking about Rambo. Man, having the opportunity to interview the actor who played Schoolboy, Matthew Marsden, dude, that guy was awesome. And I know Jamie's excited to be able to cover this.
I love this movie. I love all the Rambos, but this one is just nuts.
Oh, dude. And Matthew had some amazing stories from his career because he was in a bunch of awesome movies like Transformers, Straw Dogs. He was in a really awesome movie that he was able to work with Michael Caine. And that was like such a big experience for him. And then also he said he was able to train with Stallone while on set, he was like, dude, how do you not say yes to that? And one thing that's even more wild is with his career, he was a singer first before he was an actor. And he was so big that Destiny's Child were back up on one of his songs. So he has some cool stories about, Beyonce's dad and like working with them, which is awesome. So again, Andrew, thank you. Don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.